If you're making a move to East Texas, make sure you never purchase one of these types of homes. As always, thank you for checking out our newest video here on living in Tyler, Texas. If you're thinking about making a move to East Texas, make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. That way you're notified of all the newest videos right as they drop. We've got tons of information about making East Texas your home. We also have a great Facebook group called Moving to East Texas. It's got a lot of great community members and things like that that you can connect with to ask questions about what it's like to make East Texas your home from out of state, across town, whatever it may be. There's a lot of great resources in there. Additionally, I want to remind you that we are your friend in real estate. We've helped hundreds of families make East Texas their home, and we want to do the same for you also. So please shoot us a text, reach out by email. We would love to connect with you and help make East Texas your home. So if you're thinking about making a move to East Texas, there's certain things that you need to be aware of, and these are the types of homes that I would always recommend against. All right, so first up, one of the first things and biggest concerns that I always look for in a house is the foundation. Now, there's lots of variables that can affect the foundation, movement, cracking, all that kind of stuff, and there is a difference in severity and that sort of thing. You've got pier and beam foundations, which will usually be homes built pre-1960, maybe 1965. They will be built on piers and beams. Basically, you've got piers holding up the beams, which hold up the house. Now, those type of homes typically are actually easier to access, but fixing the foundation can be costly, sometimes depending on the age. It can be a massive overhaul, which can add up very quickly. Additionally, correcting the foundation can create problems on the inside and things of that nature. The other type of foundation here in East Texas is going to be a slab foundation where it's poured and built on concrete. Now, there's lots of variables that can affect the viability or the condition of the slab. There's always little signs throughout the home, on the interior, on the exterior, that give indications of foundation trouble, movement, and things of that nature. One of the things I always look for when walking a house is cracks in the doorways, the window areas, things like that. Now, the more vertical or horizontal a crack sometimes is not as significant. It's the diagonal stair-step cracks that are more significant. You will see those on the exterior as well, where you see cracks stair-stepped in the mortar, things of that nature. Those usually indicate a little bit more risk. And what foundation people will tell you a lot of times is when you look at the slab itself, sometimes you've got exposed concrete or it's under the pad, things like that nature. Anything over, like, I want to say it's 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch, are usually problems of more significant damage. Now, most homes will settle over time, and I had a concrete contractor tell me one time that you're either looking at concrete that's cracked or is going to crack. So all concrete will crack. It's always to what extent. Now, when considering a home with foundation problems, even if they've been repaired, they can signal a red flag to a buyer. Now, they may be very good if you're not overly concerned about moving quickly or anything like that. It may not be a big issue. But if you've had pretty significant foundation work and it's starting to show signs of movement again, you may have some underlying problems. And one, it's going to be a very costly fix that doesn't always add back value to the home, if ever, but it's also going to raise concern in future buyers' minds that could make it a more difficult resale down the road. Now, one of the biggest concerns, in addition to foundation, that I see when we speak about homes is going to be insurance coverage issues, and that primarily applies to the roof. Here in East Texas, we do have hailstorms on occasion, and because of that, insurance premiums have gone up significantly, making it a much more risky place for insurers to basically provide coverage and things like that. So the threshold they typically look at for a home is going to be somewhere around 11 to 12 years old. If the roof is that age or older, it's going to be difficult to get coverage, and if you do, you're going to get limited coverage at a very costly price point. Now, you can buy a home with an old roof if you get a good enough deal, because you can replace a roof. But typically, even on a smaller home, your roof is going to run $10,000 to $12,000. On a bigger home, you could be looking at 30 to 50 grand. And putting a new roof on is going to add a little bit of value, but it's really just going to bring it up to what its real value is. It's more so peace of mind for the future buyer. You don't necessarily get a lot of money back for that. So if you get it at the right price, and you can get a new roof either negotiated in, or even better, if the current seller can get it covered under their insurance, for replacement, that's usually your best course of action. But making sure that the age of the roof can be insured at a cost you can afford is very critical and important. Now, the next type of home you want to avoid are those cheap flips that you see that look much better than the homes around them. They come with a higher price tag and things like that. We've all seen the shows on HGTV where they come in, they flip it, they do significant renovation, make it look brand new essentially. But often homes like that are hiding or can hide other problems. Now, one of the biggest indicators of problems is going to be the age. You know, you get into an older home where they basically come in and do cosmetic rehab, paint, flooring, maybe granite countertops, a few new appliances, things like that are typically just cosmetic. In my experience, most flippers don't address the big things going on with the house, whether it be electrical, HVAC, new roofs sometimes even. When they skip those steps, you kind of have to account for other underlying issues. And with an older home, especially something built probably pre-1950, you're going to have ongoing maintenance. The plumbing will fail over time. You could have older electrical, especially with certain types of electrical panels and things like that. One of the things that I always look for in homes built really 1980s and earlier are the electrical panels. There's one specifically, Federal Pacific, that has like a 25% fail rate. Now, given the age and the fact that maybe it hasn't gone bad to this point, that there were no issues, you may not encounter any issues, but it is something that raises the probability. Some of the signs that I look for when I go into a recently renovated or flipped home is just going to be the quality of the paint. When you see a cheap paint job, a lot of times they didn't take care of other things, because to me it shows that they weren't even willing to pay a little bit of a premium for a quality paint job. Additionally, leaving old cabinets, not replacing the knobs, things like that where they came in and spent a very minimal amount of money, there's likely going to be some underlying bigger issues with the house. Now, this one comes with a bit of a caveat, and it's manufactured homes. The reason this makes our list is primarily looking at a resale and appreciation perspective for an investment. Now, manufactured homes offer great value, entry into home ownership, and a lot of things that you're not going to find in stick-built homes. The problem with manufactured homes that I see typically is sometimes the quality of them, they're not set up to last 40, 50, 60, 70 years, which for most people that doesn't matter. But they tend to appreciate at a much smaller rate, if at all, because the condition and the wear on the home is not built maybe to the same standard as certain stick-built homes. The quality will go down over time, limiting what the home can be sold for in the future. Now, that's not to say that's the case with all of them, because there are manufactured homes that provide great quality. They've got, the right types of walls, they're set up very well, and things of that nature. But the concern with these typically is just long-term, will they appreciate at the same rate? And I think this is probably a bigger concern with older ones, things built in the 90s, 80s. The newer homes built, post 2010, from what I've seen, mirror quality-wise what you can get in a site or in a stick-built home. And because of that, I think those could be more of an exception. But generally, your desirability is a little bit lower with a manufactured home than it is a site-built or a stick-built home. Just something to be aware of if you're considering that your appreciation may not be as great for the long term as another home, but often you can get significantly more space, more land, extra side amenities and things of that nature in a good price point. And to me, if you're not super worried about how much you make when you sell the home or it appreciating at the same rate, I don't think it's a big concern, especially if you're getting a newer one that provides the space that your family needs. I think they can be a great option. The next type of house that we're going to look at is a home that sits in a largely rental community. Now, the problem with homes that have a larger share of rental homes and non-owner occupied is that often the condition of the neighborhood is not as nice. It's just the nature of it that people that rent the home are not going to take the same pride in keeping up the outside or the inside of the home, which will affect future property values. Now, there's not a ton of these communities in East Texas to where they are largely rental homes. This is something maybe to be aware of in bigger cities and things of that nature, but it is information we can find out. You just want to make sure that the larger percentage, probably 70+% of the homes in the community are going to be owner occupied, because you will have a much nicer, much more well cared for neighborhood in terms of looks, maintenance, and things of that nature. Now, this isn't a home per se. You could buy a home on this type of property, but this applies to land, and we want to avoid properties that are landlocked or have an easement access. Again, this comes with a caveat. It can provide a little bit more value if you're looking for large acreage and things of that nature, because it does depreciate or mark down the value of the land with an easement. And if it is in fact landlocked, it is going to depreciate the value significantly. Now, there are steps that you can take sometimes to grant access and easement to the property, but generally these properties come with less desirability, less resale value, and smaller appreciation. And the biggest reason is people don't like the fact that there's trouble getting to their property. Now, an easement grants you access. You can get to your property from the easement, and sometimes the easements look like your property. There's a very distinct line for the easement that makes it appear that it's your property, and in those cases, those can be okay. The biggest thing with landlocked or easement type properties is that it's going to reduce your buyer pool and in turn reduce the value of the property. All right, the next thing to consider are the environmental surrounding factors of the home, and that deals largely with location. So when I talk about location, and maybe environmental is not the right word, but it's what are they near? Homes near railroad tracks obviously are not going to be as desirable. For one, there's going to be noise concerns and things of that nature. I've talked to people that live next to these things, and they kind of become just part of it, and they don't bother the people that live there. But the problem is people coming in there don't really understand that initially, and it's going to affect the value. Things like airports and things that create lots of noise of that nature are going to impact the value and the desirability of the home. Additionally, backing up or sitting next to major roadways and things of that nature that provide noise, like homes that back up to Loop 49, I-20 in those areas near Lindell, things like that are going to provide a lot more noise, are going to reduce kind of the peaceful, quiet neighborhood feel, or even backyard feel for that matter, whatever it is, and people don't like that. So again, it's going to reduce the buyer pool. Being close to things like businesses, police stations, fire stations, other things like that are going to have high traffic flow can deter future buyers, because they don't want to deal with the chaos of the noise, the traffic coming and going at all times. And things like that. Homes that are very close to like the city center and things like that are very limited. Most homes are going to be in a residential design neighborhood, but there could be a handful of places that are going to be zoned previously or prior to what exists there now, having been there, so they're kind of grandfathered in. But those are things to consider when making a purchase of a home next to those higher traffic areas. Another big thing to be conscious of are homes that are very close to schools. Now, there is a neighborhood right around Jack Elementary and Tyler ISD, and the homes that face the school or that have basically, they sit on the street that surrounds the school, those homes do in fact sell for less than the ones that are a street over. Now, if that's not something that bothers you, you can in fact get more value with those homes, because they are in fact cheaper typically than the homes that sit on the other side of the street. So if you find a home of similar size that's $20,000 less than the home that's almost the exact same home on the other side of the street, and the school traffic doesn't bother you, then I think it can be a good deal. You just have to be conscious of the fact that when you go to sell, there's going to be many more buyers that discount that savings because they don't want to deal with the traffic, the flow of people every morning, every afternoon, and that sort of thing to get in and out of their home. But again, it can provide better value for you, and depending on where you want to be, sometimes that can be a great option. But it's something to be conscious of when you go to sell the home, how it's going to affect the resale value. Now, when we look at all these different types of problems, they all present a little bit different issue. One of some of the home issues themselves, what that does, or how I frame that for myself, is you're going to spend a lot of money to make much money when you go to sell the home. You're going to spend, $30,000, $40,000 fixing the foundation. It's not adding that back. A new roof does not add that back. A new HVAC, new electrical, those things do not add the value back to your home in the dollar for dollar that you spent. Additionally, the other types of factors like the proximity to certain high traffic things, noise and stuff like that, it's not something that you're going to have to spend money on to fix, but it is going to affect the value again when you resell. And one of the things that I always caution buyers about is when you get into a home, you may have plans to be in it forever or a very long time, but you should be conscious of what it's going to be like when you sell the property before you purchase it, because life happens, you move quicker than you expect sometimes, and because of that, you want to make sure that you can capture back the right amount of money that you need to make the next move. As always, thank you for checking out our latest video here on living in Tyler, Texas. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like our video, leave us a comment if you found this video helpful. We would love to hear from you. As always, we want to remind you that we are your friend in real estate. So if you're thinking about making a move, shoot us an email, text us. We would love to hear from you and help make East Texas your home.